Hello and welcome back to Drama Investigator. Nate Schwandt recently had his private pics leaked by an anonymous fan on Instagram, so I'm not sure whether this is a recent ex-girlfriend who might be upset over him jumping from one girl to another, or whether it's a fan, but some of these pics had never before been seen and have since been deleted. So fans actually believed that this Instagram account was Nate, because Nate's actual handle is the Schwandt1, and the fake account literally mimicked his main account, but was just called the Schwandt. So it's easy to see why fans were confused if this was actually him, because some of these pics were new and never before been seen by the public eye. The fact that these pics got deleted so fast is also suspicious. While the account doesn't have any posts at all at the moment on Instagram, the account posted lots of never before seen pics of Nate to its Instagram story. One of these pics was actually an old nude of Nate that was leaked back in 2018. Now it's interesting to note that 2 years ago, Nate's got leaked online, and I'm not sure if it was just this pic that resurfaced, but regardless, Nate was not happy about it, and he recently posted a picture of himself pulling the finger to his Instagram, with a new haircut I might add, and the saying goes, new hair, new me. Nate is just about over it at this point. Now in more news, James Charles is in big trouble for following a mugshot trend on TikTok. So influencers are currently deleting their mugshot trend makeup looks after being accused of glamorizing domestic violence. So initially the mugshot trend started as a simple TikTok trend, and now major influencers who have followed that trend are getting backlash. Essentially what these influencers are doing is staging mugshots by using smudged makeup and fake SFX blood to artificially roughen their face. Now of course this trend was receiving criticism, but when major influencers like James Charles, Karina Kampf and Ivani Greg followed the trend, they received a heck ton of backlash because fans were commenting that they were glorifying abuse. So something like this could be triggering and upsetting for domestic violence survivors. Compilations of real mugshots that TikTok creators deemed attractive or interesting became popular. Then not long after this started trending, people started showing the mugshot transformations completed with smudged makeup. These fake stylistic mugshots aim to stimulate the aesthetic of a real mugshot, whilst creators hold cards with pretend reasons for their arrests. Now most of these TikTok mugshot transformations have been seen as harmless, as many of them have been minimal and largely intended as a joke or a subtle makeover that still looks decent. However, when people started including fake SFX blood, the element of comedy started to fade, especially amongst very popular influencers. So unlike TikTok, where this trend was seen as a comedy stunt, while creators held fake reason cards for being locked up, James Charles's black eye and Karina Kampf's bloody nose randomly out of nowhere confused their audiences on Twitter and Instagram. The wrong app to be sharing the trend on, because it was in fact a TikTok trend. Why they would post it on Instagram and Twitter, I don't know. Maybe they just assumed everyone else knew the trend. So here was James's mugshot pic that pissed a lot of people off, and quickly he deleted the pic following the backlash. He was featured shirtless with a black eye and a bloodied nose. So although James had deleted the tweet of his mugshot pic, to this day he still decided to not delete it from his Instagram, and it may have gotten 1 million+ likes, but the comments section speaks volumes. Nope, this is beyond tone deaf, shows how little respect you have for your followers who are also victims of abuse. Wow, so distasteful and disrespectful. Trend or not, get it together. This post makes me kind of uncomfortable. I don't think this is something that should be glorified and made as a makeup look when there are people constantly suffering and are abused. Poor taste. So many people are victims of domestic violence and have no one to help them. The majority of victims of domestic violence get help because the school or hospital reports it to the authorities. If the victims are staying at home, they have no one to turn to for help. They themselves are not going to call the authorities. Think before trying what you may consider cool. Think before wanting to get likes. Now what pissed people off even more about this was James's pathetic reaction to his offensive photo. He found it funny. He had tweeted, "Only I could lazily smudge on some purple eyeshadow and fake blood to recreate a dumb TikTok trend and have it twisted into an actual scandal." This tweet had since been deleted, surprisingly. Not long after deleting his tweet, James had realised the drama he had gotten himself into, and only then did he decide to apologise, to keep the peace, and most importantly remain holding his title as the most followed beauty guru in the world. James had stated in his apology on Twitter, despite the fact that hundreds of other influencers and artists have done something similar, I deleted the mugshot trend because it was never my intention to trigger anyone, and it's a waste of time trying to have an open discussion with people who hate me regardless. He had also tweeted, "Genuine question. The Weeknd's new album shows him bleeding with a broken nose and with bruises, yet I haven't seen a single tweet about him glorifying violence. Or can someone please explain how it's any different? I'm really trying to understand." So in James's apology, he had mentioned The Weeknd and that he was trying to understand why he was in the wrong. So I can understand why he was asking questions in his apology, because he obviously wanted to make a sincere apology and fully understand where he went wrong in comparison to other huge influencers. Because he feels at this point that people are just hating on him for the sake of it. So here we can see one of The Weeknd's album covers, and this isn't the first time he has used SFX to make himself appear physically hurt for aesthetic purposes. Now, some people were asking questions about why The Weeknd looked this way in his album cover, but for the most part, people just sat down, enjoyed his music, and didn't think anything of it. Now, a couple days prior even, James was complaining over people who hate on him for no reason. He had tweeted, "It's so funny that even on a positive post about me, which is rare, all the replies start with, 'I don't like him but.' Does anyone on this app think for themselves? Or are y'all really that concerned with fitting in that you can't admit that I'm not a bad person? Lol." He then showed all the hate comments that people were making about him. Well, I guess now James's wish has been granted. Those people have even more of a reason to come for him now. First of all, we need to point out his apology. There are many things wrong with it. He was blaming other people, having a cry because he's the only one copping up the hate. What James Chihuahua doesn't realise is that he has a huge audience, bigger than most people, yet he decided to partake in something that could be deemed offensive, yet he did it anyway because it was a trend. Now, a fan who had shared their triggering experience called James out in the process, to which he apologised. The fan had said, "I don't understand why this would be a trend. I love James, but it's not fun having your face bruised and not being able to cover them up. Maybe I'm being too sensitive, but this made me feel really uncomfortable because I couldn't take my mind off. It made me feel so dehumanized." James had responded, "Hi babe, I'm so sorry you went through something so awful and traumatic. It's a TikTok trend going around where people post their mugshots and has nothing to do with domestic violence whatsoever. Love you." Now, Karina Kampf had avoided scrutiny by deleting her post and never mentioning it again, nor did she apologise. She did, however, like this tweet on Twitter defending her and James. Perhaps an unpopular opinion, and I can see why people are triggered, but neither Karina nor James said that they were cosplaying victims. I can't help but feel like people are pinning their own assumptions on these images when such this could be caused in a multiple of ways. Karina has a much smaller following than James, so I guess that's why she didn't receive as much backlash for not apologising, but who knows. Meanwhile, although a member of the hype house Avani Gregg's mugshot pics were rather tame, she still decided to apologise on her Instagram after receiving some criticism. Her since deleted Instagram story had read, "My mugshot pics and videos had nothing to do with domestic violence. I just want to clarify that because I'm being looped in with people actually making their mugshots portray domestic violence vibes, and I'm sorry that they are doing that, but mine are clearly not, and if you watch all my mugshot TikToks you can see that." Now, it's important to note a lot of people are pointing out it shouldn't be just James being dragged for this, because that's unfair for him, seeing as so many other influencers are following this trend. If everyone is hopping on this trend, then everyone should be getting called out, not just James Chihuahua. People have also been saying, well, if you're going to hate on people for playing with SFX, you should be mad at big movies and TV shows who also use this type of makeup to portray a character. James is very talented at makeup, as we all know, and obviously wanted to do his take on the trend too. So if he's getting called out, then everyone else should receive the same amount of backlash, because James is being blamed for everything at this point. James, as we all know, takes his challenges to the next level. He's extremely competitive, which can be an advantage but also a disadvantage. But people have decided to come for him for participating in a challenge for entertainment purposes. I honestly think if James had put a disclaimer in his caption, he might not have received as much backlash, but the issue lies in the fact that his original caption seems like he was making fun of domestic violence It was very terrible and hurtful. He had changed it immediately after, and I think he could have apologized for that, if anything, because that's what really set his fans off. Another huge influencer who's way bigger than James that actually wasn't receiving anywhere near as much hate as him for copying the same trend was Lauren Gray. Now, Lauren is no longer the biggest TikTok star in the world, I might add, but she still has an insane amount of followers. She's got over 42 million on TikTok and over 19 million on Instagram, and she's literally had 0 hate comments about her mugshot challenge. So lastly, James had tweeted this out this morning: "I cannot stand people who can't think for themselves." And honestly, I think that tweet was directed at people hating on James for his mugshot pic, and basically he was saying these people are all sheep for not being able to form their own opinion and instead jumping on the hate bandwagon. So what are your thoughts on all this mugshot drama? Do you believe James Charles deserved the amount of backlash he received or not? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's all for this investigation. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell. My social media will be linked down below, and I'll see you guys in our next investigation.